Friends, today we have a very interesting, even enlightening news. What I've been harping on for the last several decades. The historians still they consider Indus Valley as 3,500 till date. We do have Virana in Haryana, that is 9,000 years old. पता नहीं historians के दिमाग में क्या है. Firstly, second point is that Professor Sankalia in 1984, he had said that the time has come when we should try to find a relationship between the Indus Valley Civilization and Vedic culture. But all these whom you call historians, but who never give a reference to what they write, B.N. Jha and R.S. Sharma and Romila Thapar, they literally not only rejected, but the kind of words they use. The fact is, I'm literally surprised. Again, for decades, you have two civilizations living at the same place. One of them, Indus Valley. It has elaborate material like उनकी टाउन प्लानिंग ये वो आप सब कुछ देखते हो मैरीन एंड ट्रेड एंड बट दे डोंट हैव एनी लिटरेचर एंड इन द सेम एरिया आर लिविंग द पीपल who have probably the most scientific language. They have script, they have literature, you have Shrutis and Samritis, but they don't have any material culture. Is it possible? Historians, even today, they refuse to find a link between the two. Besides, Indus Valley civilization is no more Indus Valley. The name today that we use is Indus Saraswati civilization. We have many more sites of this civilization in India than we have found them on the other side of the border. That can also be a controversy that still can be called Indus, more so because of this news. This news, what does it say? Sarcophagus redraws Harappan age south-north trade map. I repeat, sarcophagus redraws Harappan age south-north trade map. Smoke from a funeral pyre over 3,700 years ago left behind a trail of charcoal. In this village, in this district, that has rewritten Tamil's ancient past. Radiocarbon analysis in a US laboratory dated the deposit to 1692 BC. Why a US laboratory? क्योंकि हम अपनी लेबोरेटरी पे तो भरोसा नहीं करते जैसे हमारे प्रोफेसर एस बी ओटा हैं. He has already found that the oldest remains of prehistoric cultures about 1.7 million years ago. और जब तक वह यूएस से जो रिपोर्ट नहीं आएगी तब तक तो वो मानेंगे नहीं गोरे लोग और हम गोरों की मानते हैं. Anyway, and hinting a trade link between southern India and the regions as far as Gujarat and Maharashtra. The burial offerings scattered around the stone coffin tell their own story. Etched carnelian beads, once prized in Harappan centers, lay beside graffitis inscribed postcards. Carnelian beads were available in Maharashtra and Gujarat, so clearly establishes a trade contact, according to Professor K. Rajan. They say Indus Valley civilization is generally dated between 3,300 BC, means something like 5,300. We already, I told you, we have much older regions, and 1,300 BC. And again, they claim that Rig Veda period starts 1,500 BC or maximum 2,000 BC. Here I have a question. The point here is when Max Muller first dated Rig Veda, he said it is 500 AD, that we call now Common Era. See, people objected. He said, no, I mean 500 BC. Again, people objected. And then he said it can go up to 1200 BC. Again, people objected. Finally, he said that the date cannot be ascertained. It's time immemorial. But our historians who follow the British footsteps, they have made it as 1500 to 2000. How can this date be calculated? They say that Rigvedic people came from Central Asia, settled down in Punjab, and they wrote Rigveda. They were pastoral in nature. Now I ask a question. Which nomadic community or semi-nomadic community has a script of its own, and that too so evolved that today we have to research on that. They come and they settle and they write regularly. It means that language must be present where from they came. No, where from they came, why don't have we any script there? Why don't we any literature there? Here I quote Ramdhari Singh Dinkar. His book is Bharatiya Sanskriti Ke Char Adhyay. Read, I think, some 50 years ago. He asked a very simple question at that time when this uh, Aryan invasion theory was not rejected and people were not ready to reject it. He asked a very simple question that Aryans, they have given all details of their life, lifestyle, rituals, everything, and the praise for their ancestors. अगर उनके ancestors बाहर से आए होते तो वो जरूरी लिखते कि हम वहां से आए और यहाँ आकर के हमने झंडा गाड़ा यहाँ पे, क्यों नहीं लिखते हो? क्यों वो सिर्फ सब सिंधु की बात करते हैं, उससे बाहर की बात क्यों नहीं करते? और फिर उसके बाद आपकी जो इतिहास सोर्सेज हैं, दे टॉक अबाउट ऑल द प्लेसेस इन द हिस्ट्री एंड आयरनिकली आप अपने देश को छोड़ दें तो 1500-1800 साल पहले दुनिया में कहीं भी देयर वर नो नेम्स फॉर द रिवर्स, फॉर माउंटेन्स, फॉर ओशंस, फॉर डेजर्ट्स। हम ही लोगों ने वो सारे नाम दिए थे। सो दिस रिलेशनशिप दैट कैन बी एस्टेब्लिश्ड not only between Vedic and Saraswati Indus civilization or Indus Saraswati civilization, and they restrict it, they forgot the knowledge. Historians say no, it's a different culture. Now, this research, I've been talking that Kirari, it has all the features that were present in Indus, but people have been rejecting. I had made a video on my other channel, Vaids Nahi Baat Nahi Shuruaat, where I showed the relationship between Manu Samriti and Tirukural, the most respected book of South India, Tamil Nadu.
This Tirukural was written in 10th century, and they have tried to show that this book by Tiruvallavur, it is encouraged by, directed by the instances, the philosophy given in the Bible. Tiruvallavur adopted biblical concepts and thoughts and wrote this book Tirukural or Tirukural. Now this word very common in South Indian languages. We do not have any phonetic word in English, but in Hindi we can write it in a way that put da below the la. Still most of the people in the north and others they won't be able to pronounce. This Tirukural in 1330 verses, and it is in 3 volumes. The first volume talks about dharma, the second artha, and the third kama, and these are named aram, porul, and kam. You know, there are 4 ashramas: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa, and we have 4 purusharthas. Fourth one is moksha. Tiruvallavur has not written about the 4th purushartha, moksha, because our ancient texts, others also, they conclude that moksha cannot be communicated, moksha cannot be told, moksha can be experienced. He has talked about in this Tirukural about the 4 ashramas, the way it is discussed by Manu.
Here, what they say, the glazed goods contain graffiti bearing pots which indirectly place the date of graffiti to Itna. They include all these things. They say some graffiti appeared restricted to specific burials, suggesting they could belong to members of the same clan. Nothing uncommon. But this, a larger study by Rajan and Tamil Nadu Archaeology, Joint Director examined 140 archaeological sites and found striking parallels between TN graffiti and markings at Indus Valley locations. Nearly 90% shared similarities. How many similarities you got to have to be convinced that the two are related? स्टैटिस्टिकली तो मिनिमम लेवल 5% होता है, यहाँ तो 90% हो रहा है. द ऑब्जेक्ट्स इंक्लूड आयरन टूल्स एंड ये नेक्स्ट स्टेज आ गई इंडस वैली के बाद की. बट दिस व्हाट डज दिस शो? अब तमिल पॉलिटिक्स जो है वो अपनी जगह है, वो अलार्म प्रैक्टिस जो मर्जी करते रहें, जितना मर्जी वो नॉर्थ वालों को गालियां देते रहें, जितना मर्जी वो बताते रहें कि दे आर द ओरिजिनल इनहेबिटेंट. Literally, there is no evidence, no proof that India has been one, and it has been shared by Vishnu Puran very clearly. Uttaram yat samudrasya himadri chaiva dakshinam varsham tad bharatram bharati yatra sarpati. North of the ocean and south of the Himalayas, the country that is there is Bharat, and its people are Bharatiya. There is no question of this kind of, I would say, arbitrary classification. And this Tamil movement and North-South divide, it started only in the beginning of 20th century. Since then only the abuse of Brahmins started. And in the recent decades only Brahmins have started migrating because they feel that they are not very safe in the kind of politics which you have in Tamil Nadu. Anyway, we are not concerned with that. We are concerned that Indus Valley, it extends up to the south again, and this Tirukural also supports that. And again, finally, this is a nailed coffin is there, and the nail that is there in the theory that Indus Valley civilization was restricted to Indus and the surrounding area. I just do not understand why historians, forget about historians, why social scientists are not interested in this kind of knowledge. They talk about national integration. They talk about mainstream. They talk about the origin of the society and the state. How can you ignore this? And be sure, if you are ignoring, you are deliberately confusing your students. You are deliberately misguiding your students. Even if you do not agree with what I say, you can check the references. You can criticize, but the people must know. That is my argument. Thank you.